Imagine a friendship so close that it feels unbreakable, only to have it shattered in an instant by a moment of rage. On a seemingly ordinary summer day, two young men found themselves embroiled in a heated argument that would culminate in a shocking act of violence, one that would claim the life of an 18-year-old and leave a community grappling with grief and disbelief. How could a bond forged in laughter and shared experiences devolve into such tragedy? This is the heart-wrenching story of Liam Gray and the devastating betrayal that changed everything. Welcome to True Crime Stories Archive, your gateway to the chilling world of real-life horror. Here, we delve into the darkest corners of humanity, unearthing terrifying stories of true crime that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more bone-chilling tales of real-life crimes. In the quaint town of Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, a seemingly ordinary summer day in 2019 would soon be etched into the community's memory as a day of unthinkable tragedy. August 1st dawned like any other, with no hint of the horror that would unfold. At the heart of this story are two young men, whose lives would become inextricably linked in the most devastating way imaginable. Liam Gray, a vibrant 18-year-old with his whole life ahead of him, was known for his infectious smile and kind heart. His friend, Jonathan Treadgold, just a year younger at 17, appeared to be cut from the same cloth, a typical teenager navigating the complexities of adolescence. Little did anyone know that beneath the surface of their friendship, a tempest was brewing, one that would ultimately claim a young life and shatter countless others. As the sun climbed higher in the sky that fateful Thursday, Liam, Jonathan, and another friend decided to while away the hours as many young people do, with a few drinks in each other's company. The trio's laughter and chatter filled the air, a stark contrast to the somber silence that would soon envelop their neighborhood. But as the day wore on, the atmosphere began to shift. What started as harmless banter between friends slowly morphed into something more sinister. Words became sharper, tempers flared, and the bonds of friendship began to fray at the edges. An argument erupted between Liam and Jonathan, its exact nature lost to time and tragedy. In the heat of the moment, Jonathan stormed off, leaving Liam and their other friend behind. For many, this might have been the end of it. A typical teenage spat that would blow over by morning. But Liam, ever the peacemaker, couldn't bear to leave things on such a sour note. With a heart full of hope for reconciliation, he made the fateful decision to follow Jonathan, intent on mending the rift that had so suddenly torn them apart. As Liam approached Jonathan's home, neither of them could have possibly foreseen the horrific turn their lives were about to take. In a matter of moments, a disagreement would escalate beyond all reason, and a single act of violence would extinguish a bright young life, leaving a community reeling and searching for answers. The stage was set for a tragedy that would send shockwaves through Mansfield and beyond, leaving everyone to wonder. How could a friendship between two young men end in such senseless bloodshed? What dark forces could drive one friend to take the life of another? As we delve deeper into this harrowing tale, we'll uncover the shocking details of that August afternoon and the aftermath that would change lives forever. Share as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the streets of Mansfield, Liam Gray approached Jonathan Treadgold's home, unaware that he was walking into a nightmare. The air was thick with tension, a palpable energy that hinted at the storm brewing just beneath the surface. Liam's heart raced, not with fear, but with a desperate hope to mend their fractured friendship. He believed that a simple conversation could restore the camaraderie they had enjoyed for years. However, what unfolded next would be anything but simple. Jonathan, still seething from their earlier argument, was not in the mood for reconciliation. As Liam knocked on the door, he was met with a cold silence before Jonathan emerged, his expression a mix of anger and confusion. The two young men stood face to face, each unwilling to back down, each feeling justified in their emotions. Words were exchanged, harsh and cutting, escalating quickly into a heated confrontation. Friends who had once laughed together now found themselves on opposite sides of an invisible line, each accusing the other of betrayal and disrespect. It was a tragic irony that this clash of words would soon give way to a far more violent expression of their conflict. In a moment that felt like an eternity, Jonathan reached for a knife, a weapon that would forever alter the course of their lives. Liam, perhaps still clinging to the hope that reason would prevail, did not immediately retreat. Instead, he stepped closer, attempting to diffuse the situation with words. But in that instant, reason gave way to rage. Jonathan lashed out in a fit of anger, plunging the blade into Liam's chest. The world seemed to freeze as Liam staggered backward, shock etched across his face. Time slowed as he processed what had just happened. Betrayal surged through him like poison. In those fleeting seconds, he realized that this was not just an argument gone wrong. It was an irrevocable act of violence that would shatter countless lives. Liam collapsed to the ground, blood seeping from his wound and pooling beneath him. Jonathan's shock morphed into panic. The gravity of his actions hit him like a tidal wave. He had crossed a line from which there would be no return. In his frantic state, he fled the scene, leaving behind his friend, his former ally, fighting for life. Emergency services were called almost immediately by witnesses who had heard the commotion and seen Liam fall. The frantic sirens echoed through the neighborhood as paramedics rushed to provide aid. They found Liam lying on the ground, unconscious and bleeding profusely. Despite their best efforts to stabilize him and rush him to Queen's Medical Center for emergency surgery, it was too late. Liam succumbed to his injuries shortly after arrival. The news of Liam Gray's death sent shockwaves through Mansfield. Friends and family were left grappling with disbelief and grief. How could this happen? How could one friend take another's life? The community that had once been filled with laughter and youthful exuberance now felt heavy with sorrow and confusion. As detectives began piecing together the events leading up to that tragic moment, they uncovered a web of emotions: jealousy, anger, betrayal, all intertwined within the fabric of their friendship. Jonathan Treadgold was apprehended shortly after fleeing. His arrest marked the beginning of a legal battle that would reveal more about both young men than anyone could have imagined. In court proceedings that followed, Jonathan claimed self-defense during his trial. He painted a picture of fear and desperation, a narrative that sought to justify his actions as those of a frightened teenager caught in an escalating confrontation. However, witnesses painted a different picture, one of reckless abandon fueled by anger and poor judgment. The prosecution laid bare the facts. This was not an act of self-preservation, but rather an impulsive decision made in a moment of rage. The courtroom became a battleground for emotions as family members sat on either side. Liam's family grappling with their loss, while Jonathan's family struggled with their son's choices. As the trial unfolded over several weeks, Mansfield grappled with its collective grief. Vigils were held in memory of Liam Gray. Candles flickered in the night as friends and family gathered to share stories about his kindness and laughter. The community came together not only to mourn but also to reflect on the fragility of life and the consequences of unchecked anger. Liam's family spoke out about their loss, their beloved son taken too soon by an act they could never comprehend. They expressed their desire for justice while also advocating for awareness around youth violence and mental health issues among teenagers. Their voices resonated deeply within the community as they urged others to recognize warning signs and seek help before conflicts escalated beyond control. Meanwhile, Jonathan Treadgold awaited sentencing behind bars. The weight of his actions loomed large over him as he faced reality, a life forever altered by one moment of poor judgment. Friends who once stood by him began to distance themselves. Whispers filled school hallways about what had transpired between two boys who had once been inseparable. As verdict day approached, tension mounted within Mansfield. Would justice be served? Would Liam's family find closure? Or would this tragedy become yet another statistic in a world increasingly plagued by violence? The courtroom was packed on the day of sentencing. Emotions ran high as everyone awaited the judge's decision regarding Jonathan Treadgold's fate. Family members sat together, Liam's parents clutching each other tightly while Jonathan's family looked on anxiously from across the room. When the judge entered and took her seat, silence fell over the room like a heavy blanket. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as she began reading her statement, a detailed account of what had transpired on that fateful day in August 2019. The judge emphasized how senseless violence had taken away not only Liam's future but also shattered countless lives connected to him. She spoke about how friendships could turn toxic when left unchecked by communication and understanding, a poignant reminder for everyone present. Finally came the moment everyone had been waiting for: sentencing. Jonathan Treadgold was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 16 years in prison. A decision met with mixed reactions from both sides of the aisle. For Liam's family, it was a bittersweet victory. While they felt justice had been served, it did little to ease their pain or bring back their SONI. In the months following Jonathan's sentencing, Mansfield began to heal slowly but surely. Those scars remained etched deep within its heart. Community leaders initiated programs aimed at promoting conflict resolution among youth. Schools implemented workshops focused on emotional intelligence and mental health awareness. Liam Gray's story became more than just another tragic headline. It served as a cautionary tale about friendship gone awry and how quickly life can change in an instant. His legacy inspired many young people throughout Mansfield to reflect on their relationships, to communicate openly rather than letting anger fester into something destructive. Liam's family continued advocating for awareness surrounding youth violence. They shared their story publicly in hopes that others might learn from their tragedy and prevent similar incidents from occurring again. As we conclude this harrowing tale today, we're left with profound questions. How do we nurture our friendships? What steps can we take to ensure misunderstandings don't spiral out of control? And ultimately, how do we honor those we've lost while striving towards creating safer communities? Thank you for joining us today at True Crime Stories Archive as we explore this heartbreaking story. A reminder that behind every statistic lies real people with dreams cut short too soon. If you found this story compelling or know someone who might benefit from hearing it, please like this video and subscribe for more true crime narratives that delve deep into humanity's darkest corners. Together, let us remember Liam Gray, not just as a victim, but as someone whose life sparked change within his community, a legacy worth honoring long after his tragic end.